Hi, Mr. Koh here again today. I'm going to talk about opposition unity. Why is it important for opposition parties to unite against our common enemy, our common political opponent, which is the PAP, the Pay and Pay Party, that makes you pay and pay till you end up in the grave for some reason. Okay? Why opposition unity is important, including other stuff. Okay? First, let me start. Most opposition in Singapore, most opposition parties in Singapore nowadays, are so full of themselves that they are ready to lose the deposit, onto the G, onto the G, they are ready to lose their deposit, so full of themselves that they believe that what they are doing is right. At the end, when it comes to election times, they finally realize that something is going on, something is going on, without them, just because they got something wrong and they cannot U-turn for the last chance of redemption, redeeming themselves, choosing to unite with other opposition parties so that they can actually form a united front against our common opponent, a common political opponent. Opposition unity is really, really important when we come towards our SG60. SG60, what it means? It means, that when, Singapore finally turn to SG100 in the next 40 years, people, Singaporeans want to see that the opposition parties all come under one banner, unite against a common enemy from within. So that when opposition parties finally form the government, maybe in the future, in the next 40 to 100 years later, in the future, when we finally hit SG100 in the next 40 years, finally Singaporeans do not want to see the number of 3-corner fights increasing to 4-5-corner fights just because everybody believes in their own ideology. Most Singaporeans are not, interested in 3-4-5-corner fights. It does not always benefit, the opposition parties themselves. As Mr. Ravi Philemon says, Ravi Philemon, Secretary General from RDO, says that it's not in anyone's best interest, to have a 3-corner fight, unquote. That really tells what RDO is all about. We are here to unite the opposition parties towards a common enemy, towards a common enemy, a common cause, so that we can finally push this country, this SG, this Singapore, our home, our land, our people forward, without infighting among ourselves just because believe in something different. Whenever people fight within among themselves, is not really good at all. nor parties, political parties fighting among themselves just because, you know, they want to do so, When we fight among ourselves, our opponents, not just from within, from outside of Singapore, our neighbors, will see us as a bunch of disunited people that keep on talking and talking about, being one people, one nation, one Singapore. No, yet we still keep on fighting among ourselves. They'll think that, Singapore is a disunited country, ready to be squeezed out like a lemon, you know. However, we are fortunate that our people are of good quality. Good quality means people with experience, with knowledge, with the you know with the professions, that they are in, people of quality, not quantity. We in Singapore always pride ourselves on meritocracy. That's how we prevented our neighbors, For example, like Malaysia in the 1960s, when we try to merge with them, yes, they are happy to, welcome us in. However, once they welcome us in, they started trying to squeeze us out like a lemon, like as if squeezing the juice out of us, so that they can all have the goodness, for their country. However, once they realize that they not squeeze the juice out of us, they just kick us out and say, it's your problem now, you must take care of yourself, and good luck, bye bye. And then after that, when they see Singapore, progress into a wealthy country, they start being friendly towards us just to save face for themselves, for kicking us out, during the 1960s, just to save face on the international stage. I really wonder why, if, opposition, front has come a very long way, since the first opposition party in Singapore was formed. At the time was the PAP. However, once the PAP formed the government, they become pro-government rather than pro-opposition. Then comes the Workers' Party, then comes, after that, so on and so on, then everything is history, from there on. That's when the opposition started to grow, especially after the 2000s, opposition front grew, exponentially, just because we were getting more and more wealthier with more and more resources on hands to think of new ideas on how to run our country. However, now the new government, now is trying to destroy, opposition unity, Actually, whenever there's a three-corner fight, they always, pretended like they are the peacemakers, settling out the disputes between opposition parties, like as if they are the peacemakers when they themselves are actually the troublemakers, the ones who are trying to divide and conquer, opposition parties, separately through a case by case basis. They are trying to, destroy opposition, unity. That's not what they want, and does not really benefit them. So it's really out there, for you to decide, whether you want opposition unity or not. opposition unity benefits Singaporeans through basically having a united front, against our neighbors, which stops a lot of problems like the influx of foreign manpower. If we do not have opposition unity, we will have an influx of foreign manpower. Like right now, opposition unity is still in development. It is not, it's still developing an ongoing effort. And we will still continue the fight as RDU, as Red Dot United. We will still strive for opposition unity at all costs. So, once again, thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, view the video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.